2024 looks to be a pretty eventful year for Tomb Raider. In addition to finally getting the highly requested remasters for the first 3 games, crossing my fingers for Last Revelation and Chronicles to come later, I have a feeling that we might actually get some big news for the next mainline Tomb Raider game. But that's just speculation on my part. What isn't speculation, however, is the brand new Tomb Raider anime that'll be premiering on Netflix that same year. Tomb Raider, The Legend of Korra, I mean, The Legend of Lara Croft. Yeah, I certainly have thoughts about what we've been shown thus far, but before I get into that, I actually wanted to bring attention to another animated Tomb Raider series that you may not know even exists. To rewind a bit, the year is 2007. Eidos Interactive, the publisher of the Tomb Raider series at the time, looked to have some sort of partnership with the online video game subscription service, GameTap. By this point, Tomb Raider as a franchise has existed for over 10 years, and the newest game releasing that year, Tomb Raider Anniversary, would pay tribute to that, essentially serving as a remake of the first game. Wanting to capitalize on this momentous occasion, GameTap would have 2 separate forms of content presented on their website. The first would be a documentary called 10 Years of Tomb Raider, a GameTap retrospective, notably narrated by Keely Hawes, the current voice actress for Lara Croft at the time. I haven't gotten around to seeing it all yet, but so far it's been a really good watch. I recommend it. GameTap doesn't exist anymore, but the documentary has been re-uploaded to YouTube by user Tomb Raider Empire, so I'll have a link to that in the description below. The second form of content would prove to be more ambitious in scope, a 10-episode animated web series by the name Revisioned Tomb Raider. This web series, created by Ricardo Sanchez, would pull together comic book writers and animators to reimagine Lara Croft and her adventures as we know them. Besides a 2-page list of do's and don'ts for the character, each writer basically had creative freedom to tell the story they wanted in their designated episodes. Ultimately, the series premiered on GameTap's website in July and concluded in November, with a peculiar 3-month gap between the last 2 episodes, but I digress. Now, as the video's title indicates, I think this series is very underrated. Maybe I'm just not looking in the right places, but I can't say I saw much buzz about it online within the Tomb Raider community over the years. I guess Tomb Raider is a video game franchise first, but I still felt compelled to chat about Revisioned because I think it's really good actually. And a pretty short watch too, each episode around 5 to 7 minutes. The official Tomb Raider YouTube account has all 10 episodes up, so I'll link the playlist in the description below. I will say a few of the episodes in the playlist are mixed up from its original airing order, so I've provided an image showcasing that airing order. Not that it matters too much, since for the most part these episodes are standalone, but just thought I'd offer the option anyways. But yeah, with that, we can begin our summarized overview of the series and why I feel this new Netflix show has quite a bit to live up to. So, like I mentioned before, each standalone story is helmed by a different writer, with exception to Revenge of the Aztec Mummy and Lara Croft Legacy, both sharing the same writer, but we'll get to those later. The first story in the series is actually unique for being the longest, dedicating 3 whole episodes to it. And that story is Keys to the Kingdom, written and directed by Peter Chung of Aeon Flux fame. Now, I feel like a lot of people consider this story to be the best, myself included, so I'll end up talking more at length about it, cause it's honestly kind of wild. The story begins with a news reporter and her cameraman recording the lecture of Dr. Heinrich, taking place in a museum of some sort. Heinrich over here is chatting about his research of the pleroma, which is described as the realm of pure and perfect spirit. He then mentions that communicating through the pleroma is possible through artifacts like the Astrolabe of Mashallah and the Ankh of Osiris. The Ankh specifically being used as an antenna to guide one's soul back to their body. So basically, resurrection. The audience, however, doesn't buy it, so Heinrich decides to demonstrate by attempting to bring to life the statue of the Egyptian god Osiris of all beings. Before finishing, however, Heinrich is assassinated by a man affiliated with the Cabal, an armed interfaith coalition of religious extremists, spanning the monotheistic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Anyways, everyone freaks out and starts running away while the gunman claims the Ankh. Lara Croft, watching the lecture from a distance, springs to action and evades the gunman's bullets, trying to take him out with her throwing knives. Just as the gunman is about to finally shoot Lara, however, a bystander by the name Zahir Zalat pushes Lara out of the way, saving her life at the cost of his. The gunman starts to escape, but Lara manages to catch up and knock him out, claiming the Ankh and his gun in the process. More agents of the Cabal arrive, but Lara takes out quite a few of them. Arriving back at the lecture hall, Lara decides she needs backup and finishes what Heinrich started, actually resurrecting Osiris. And keep in mind that the cameraman from before is still here and is recording all of this. So, Lara asks Osiris to defend her, and Osiris makes very quick work with the Cabal agents, wiping them out. After that, Lara again uses the Ankh to bring Heinrich back to life. But Heinrich isn't really pleased with this, claiming that the pleroma is real and that the Ankh is useless and better off at the hands of the Cabal. And then he gleefully jumps out of a window to end himself. Lara is kind of shook by this, but ultimately keeps it pushing and tells Osiris to stand down, reverting him back to stone. And just like that, she kicks the statue and destroys it before leaving. The police officers at the scene discover the cameraman still there and tries to chase after him, not wanting this information to go public. With the lecture hall now empty, we see the spirit of Osiris rising from the destroyed statue, possessing the corpse of none other than Zahir. The very last scene from the first episode shows us a collection of different gods, seemingly observing everything that's going on. And that's all you're gonna get from me concerning this story. I don't want to spoil what goes down in the other two episodes, so if I manage to interest you in this story at least, then do give it a watch, cause once again, it's actually quite wild and everything goes off the rails fairly quickly. I do, however, want to take some time to tell you what exactly I loved from this episode, with some aspects even carrying over to the rest of the episodes despite different writers helming them. For one, Lara's voice and personality. Lara here is portrayed by actress Minnie Driver, and when I tell you she embodied Lara here, like, no contest. So phenomenal, and dare I say, might be one of the best voice actresses for Lara, full stop. It's hard to make a definitive statement cause each voice actress offers their own charm to Lara, but yeah, Minnie killed this role. Lara's personality is also fantastic here. Very classic Lara, very old school, witty and straight to business while not being overly emotional, but can still show compassion when needed. It's definitely that era that a lot of us Tomb Raider fans love the most from Lara. Confident, capable, and really just a power fantasy through and through. And her design here is just beautiful, and also gives classic vibes, even though the actual outfit and hairstyle isn't a one-to-one match. As you'll see later, each story has its own distinct art style and presentation of Lara that I think fits for the respective episode, but I would say that this first one is my favorite Lara design. And as for the story, I don't want to reveal too much for spoiler's sake, but I do enjoy its darker tone, very evocative of Angel of Darkness. And I think we can all agree that the animation is absolutely fantastic. Okay, I don't want to extend this video's length more than I have to, so I'll run through the other stories fairly quickly before circling back to the upcoming Netflix show and my thoughts on that. The fourth episode, Revenge of the Aztec Mummy, with story by Brian Pulido and character designs by David Alvarez, takes on a much lighter and cartoony tone as Lara tries to seek an artifact within Aztec Emperor Moctezuma's tomb. The next story is a two-parter called Angel Spit, written by Warren Ellis and designs by Cully Hamner. Here, Lara researches and later finds out about an island underneath an ice sheet near Antarctica that supposedly is the origin for Angel Spit, a substance that could supposedly cure any disease. After that is Lara Croft: The Legacy, with story again written by Brian Pulido, while designs are handled by Ivan Reis. This one has a more old-school 1960s vibe, with a 3D twist in the environments and some of the background characters. In this one, Lara finds herself at a monastery in her search for an ancient scepter, all while being followed by a blonde woman. Preteen Raider, with writing by Gail Simone and Elliot Blake, and designs by 6 Point Harness, takes Lara back to when she was a 12-year-old student attending Croft Academy, determined to steal the Dagger of Zitran from the Academy grounds. Hedda Johnson voices young Lara here, and I think she did a great job. After that is Raising Thermopolis, with story by Michael Stackpole and designs by Louis Del Carmen. Lara and the mysterious Anton Cooper travel to the lost underwater city of Thermopolis, where she and an adversary must survive 3 ancient challenges to retrieve a prize of their choosing. And the final episode, A Complicated Woman, written by Jim Lee and Christos Engage, and designs by Jim, Carlos Deonda, Michael Lopez, Oliver Nome, and JJ Kirby, showcase 3 treasure hunters and their stories of encountering Lara Croft while trying to recover the treasure of Perseus. This episode has a distinct comic book style and serves as a nice closer for the Revisioned series overall. And that was Revisioned Tomb Raider. Overall, I think it's a marvelous watch and hope that I convinced you to check this underrated series out. For the last part of this video though, I will be returning back to the upcoming Netflix show as promised to give my thoughts. As of recording this, only a trailer and behind the scenes video pertaining to the show has been released, so I'll be talking about both of them. Now, beginning with the teaser trailer. We didn't get any sort of narration from Lara, which was a bummer cause I wanted to see how Hayley Atwell would sound as the character. Based on interviews I've seen of her though, I feel like she could pull off a great Lara, so I'm not too worried. But yeah, the trailer was mainly just Lara taking deep breaths, interspersed with scenes from the anime. Lara exploring some mysterious location, an otherworldly presence of some kind, and a picture of Lara's colleagues all the way back from 2013's Tomb Raider. And that final scene, giving us a good look at Lara's face and her weapon of choice, which looks to be the bow and arrow. Yay. So, first impressions, I thought this teaser was just okay. It didn't really wow me, but I don't think this looks bad either. I think the animation looks great. I'm always a fan of fantastical elements in Tomb Raider, and I actually like how Lara's face looks here. Her hair and outfit feels kind of reminiscent to what she mainly wore from Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is fine, I guess. I was hoping for a more classic Lara look, but again, this is just a teaser. As for the bow and arrow, not a big fan. I feel like Lara's dual pistols will always be iconic, so substituting that with the bow and arrow, once again, feels a bit disappointing. I know the new direction for Tomb Raider is trying to unify the timelines across the classic, LAU, and reboot eras, but so far I'm just seeing reboot Lara. Hopefully that changes as we see more, but those are my current thoughts. As for the behind the scenes video, we get character design supervisor Joy Hua showing us some additional character sheets of mostly reboot inspired attire for Lara and some storyboarded frames of animation, which is all fine and good, except for one thing. Yeah.
The shoes.
Ooh, the shoes.
Ay,
The shoes.
ayun na naman! Oo, yung shoes na naman. But honestly,
And those shoes. Prince, we know na isa kang magaling na makeup artist. But those shoes.
you can have it if you want.
No, thank you. No, thanks.
Where do I start here? Here's the thing, surprisingly enough, I don't completely hate this. In a way, it's honestly kind of camp. She is giving me Tumblr, giving me I'm not like the other girls, giving me quirky main character from some 2000 sitcom that will wear sneakers to the school dance, no questions asked. That's what she's giving me. Inherently, it's not a bad thing, but is it giving Lara Croft? I personally would say no. I feel like this is a bit of a departure from the other moments in the franchise where Lara wore a dress. Chronicles, Legend, Lara in A Complicated Woman, they all had something in common. They were all chic, mature, elegant yet sexy. And they all wore heels. Now, in the great grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. It really isn't. And once the anime comes out, maybe Lara will absolutely rock the shoes and I'll have a change of heart. But I feel like the reason why I'm honing in on such a small detail is because it just doesn't feel like Lara. It doesn't feel like that iconic power fantasy that I loved since I was a little gay boy. Classic Lara's attire has, for the most part, been fairly practical in her adventures, so to see her step out of that comfort zone in some sickening dress and heels and still be able to kick ass not only adds to the power fantasy, but also celebrates her more feminine side and shows that you can be a girly girl and still kick butt. So to see her wear these shoes with the dress kind of takes some of that magic away, you know? That fierceness that was so ingrained in Croft's character. Plus, the dresses themselves are kind of ugly. If this was meant to be for a gala, then it is very underwhelming. And Lara, my queen, please take that hideous necklace off. You already wore it for literally every other outfit in the reboot trilogy. I'm sure you can give it a rest. But yeah, other than that, the behind the scenes video was all well and good. Yeah, if you're still with me after that unhinged rant on Lara's shoes, then I thank you for your patience. It's even weird for me to have such a strong reaction to this, but I hope I was able to communicate my feelings behind this well enough. And of course, goes without saying, but if you want to wear some casual shoes with your dress, be my guest. I'm just talking about a fictional character here, specifically Lara Croft. Having said all that, what are my overall closing thoughts? I would say that I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm definitely tempering my expectations and telling myself that this most likely won't be the Lara Croft I know and love, but rather an extension of Reboot Lara. I know Joy mentioned in the video that they want to bridge the Lara from the reboot games to the classics, but part of me still feels hesitant to believe it'll actually happen. For now though, I guess we'll wait and see. Even if we're still stuck with Reboot Lara though, that doesn't mean that I can't have a good time with the anime. I'm very curious to see what kind of story is told, and what adventures Lara goes on. The environmental art alone is breathtaking, and no matter what, we're getting new Tomb Raider content, so I'm overall pretty excited for the anime. And if nothing else, it gave me the opportunity to gush about how great revisioned Tomb Raider is, and how more people should check it out, so ultimately it's a win-win situation for me. Alright, I think that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching and take care.